The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show at eCoffee with Experts. And this is your host Ranmay here. Today we have Hayato Hori, who is the Director of Growth at FlipSystem with us. Hey Hayato, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me here.
Great. So before we move any forward, let's get to know more about you. Let's take it back, what were you like as a kid? And were there any early signs that you would become an entrepreneur and any pivotal moment that kind of put you on this path there?
Yeah, that's a great question. In terms of my childhood, I was never that good of a student, to be quite frank. I was never an academic type. I did like learning about new things for sure, especially math was one of the subjects that I really did enjoy. My high school teacher actually had a finance class, which was eye-opening to me because that's really where I decided to go into my entrepreneur ventures. And he talked about going into stocks investing early, and that's really where I got my knack for wanting to invest early, looking into my financials and making sure that I set myself up for success. So that was really one of the major keys. I was never really that good of a student, to be quite honest, growing up. And then in college, that's when I really started dabbling into some businesses that I really felt passionate about. And so during college, I started maybe 6, 7 businesses during that time. And as I continued to fail, start the next business, fail, start the next business, I really gained a lot of skill sets in what the marketplace is looking for, how to sell to people, and how to put things together and systematize things so that I can continue to scale. And so from there, doing a lot of trial and error, had some small successes, made a few, smaller e-commerce brands, made a few $10,000, $20,000 months. But it wasn't enough to really sustain because it was just super volatile. And that's when I decided to jump into a corporate 9-to-5 job after graduating. And then after graduation, I was working at a company called Hyperloop Transportation Technologies. Hyperloop was an idea that Elon Musk had, tube travel. So that was my first gig out of college. And then from there, I decided I still need to and want to start my own business. I just felt like 110% of my efforts would be put into something where I actually start. So that's why I decided to leave that position and job at Hyperloop, although I loved it, and moved into actually the real estate side of business and start my company there. So that's kind of where my entrepreneurship journey really began as well.
Lovely. And then, like we were talking about it in the green room, you are involved in 3 businesses, right? Life must be hectic. How do you handle all of it?
It was hectic for sure, but it allowed me to learn that much faster. I'm a big believer in failing fast and learning fast. And so for me, just like in the digital marketing world, it really is about testing and then figuring out what sticks. And so at that time in college, when I was testing 3, 4, 5 businesses out and seeing what stuck, I was able to learn a lot. But really now my focus is focusing on one venture at a time because I don't want to spread myself thin. What I've learned over the course of the years is being able to focus on one business and one thing at a time is way more fruitful than focusing on 5, 6, 7, 8 different things at once. So that was a big mistake that I learned in college that I don't want to redo again.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, getting into too many things, eats up your time. And especially, if those are into kind of different niches, then again, the expertise and, the core idea of being a specialist at something kind of gets diluted. And it again kind of eats up your time. But yeah, I mean, it depends, on your core skill sets. If you're kind of doing things around it, the chances of you kind of succeeding is more versus, kind of not succeeding.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. And as a director of growth at FlipSystem, one of the major roles would be to scale the business, right? So what would you say have been the most effective growth strategy for you so far?
The number one thing is looking at data. So we heavily focused on making trackable, attributable data and making sure we had a dashboard to really be able to see what's working in the business and what isn't, and what levers can we pull. And so we're big, huge fans and huge believers of what Alex Hormozy preaches. I don't know if you're familiar with him, or maybe the audiences might be as well, but we are big believers in finding out what the biggest constraint in the businesses are, tracking that with data, and figuring out where it is that we can go ahead and alleviate those constraints to grow the
Yeah.
business more and sustainably as well.
Devil is in the detail, like they say.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we also have a very strong methodology of following processes, making informed decisions based on the data that we have, right? So it's all data at the end of the day. Obviously, I mean, you can experiment a bit. That again is dependent on, what kind of split testing are you doing, and the chances of success or failure depends on the
Right.
data that you have at your disposal. Yeah, I mean, it is at the forefront of all that we do, and it makes a lot of sense that, you kind of rely on data and then make an informed decision there.
Absolutely, especially in the sales world as well, because a business doesn't grow or a business doesn't
Yeah.
scale with no sales as well. So the sales is essentially the heart and soul of the business. So we always have our focus there, but we also have our focus on the customer retention side of things as well, because that's
Yeah,
where we can increase LTV on our business and continue to
absolutely.
be sustainable as a business. So that's a huge component that we look at as well. In order to obviously get new clients, we really focus on the client acquisition part. So we would track cost per lead, cost per book calls, and figure out what the close rates look like, and really kind of reverse engineer, figure out where things are falling off at each step of that ladder, because we're spending thousands of dollars per day on ads. And so we really need to make sure that every dollar that we're spending
Yeah.
actually is generating a return for the business. And if it's not, we have to figure out what is it that we need to change and update in order for us to be able to do so. And when you're spending thousands of dollars in ads per day too, you have to constantly come up with new campaigns and new creatives and have
Yeah.
that in your pipeline so that you're always ready as well.
100%. And you know what? As a business, even if, I've seen businesses being really sales heavy. I mean, there's nothing wrong in that. But you
Hmm.
cannot really have a leaking bucket, in the
Exactly.
sense, right? I mean, you got to preserve your existing customers in order to then have a very strong base, and then on that you grow, right? So
Absolutely.
I'm totally with you when you said, to focus on the LTV of existing accounts, because that is where your real business lies, right? And then on top
Absolutely.
of that, you kind of keep on, increasing the layer of growths with your sales team and other processes there. Perfect. And so, Yadav, talking about Redbrick Equity, how does, the approach of revitalizing communities in a sustainable way kind of, works? I mean, throw some more light on that.
Yeah, so at Redbrick Equity, it's a real estate fund that we've recently opened and started. And so with Redbrick, our goal is to acquire multifamily buildings and make sure that we're able to provide affordable housing for those that are in need in
Okay.
across the US. And so we all know that the housing problem is quite big here in the US. There's not enough supply, and the prices of homes continue to go up. Rent prices continue to go up as well because of the shortage in supply as well. And obviously, with interest rates and whatnot, it's making it hard for everyone
Yep.
in the space as well. And so, and especially now, there's a lot of volatility with taxes being implemented and whatnot. So we're obviously trying to keep track of everything that's going on. But what we really want to achieve and attain is for us to provide affordable housing for everyday Americans. That is really the goal for us, and be able to provide housing that people can be proud to call their home as a rental too. So that's really what our goal is. We're not really looking into the luxury apartment buildings that you might see here in Miami. Right across our buildings, there's 6, 7, 8, new constructions going on at any given time. And that's great as well. but our mission really is to provide more affordable housing for Americans.
No, I understand. I completely understand. Perfect. Great, Hayato. This has been a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time and really appreciate you doing this with us. For our audiences, if they
absolutely.
want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Hayato at FlipSystem.com if you are interested to learn more about FlipSystem, what we do there. If you want to learn more about what we do in the funds aspect of it, you can reach out to me at Hayato at redbrickequity.com.
Lovely. Thank you once again, Hayato. It was lovely speaking with you, man. Cheers.
Absolutely, you as well. Thank you so much for having me here.